Todd with the Reason Files. The Reason Files has recently received a file containing documentation of sexual immorality scandal plaguing the new IFB, specifically Stephen Anderson and his Faithful Word Baptist Church.
Hello, Jeff Dollar here. I'd like to make a few comments on the recent death of Todd Ferguson. We recently heard that Todd had suffered a horrendous death, which was very difficult for some of us to comprehend that such a thing could happen, but such is the way of the world. We don't know our time. We don't know when we're going to go. We don't know how we're going to go. That's in the hands of God. So with that in mind, I'd like to make a few comments on that. There is somewhat of a stir among certain parts of the internet in the new IFB world that it's somewhat of a rejoicing. We'll look into that. But I'd like to first of all give a little bit of background as to my connection with Todd. Todd, a little over a year ago now, I guess, had contacted me concerning the Reason Files and Robert Tuttle regarding the work that they do there, and if I would be interested in interviewing Robert. I looked over his website and we decided to do that. That's still on YouTube. We'll have a link to that in this video. So after that, we kept in contact. Todd would give me updates as to what's going on there. He would sometimes ask me to do certain things. Sometimes I could, sometimes I couldn't. The nature of my ministry is different than theirs. They are what I guess investigative journalists. I focus more on the theological aspects of things. I don't care to get into the scandals and the issues behind the scenes, things like that, other than the theological and practical issues that surround the new IFB and the old IFB. So that being the case, sometimes I'd work with them, sometimes I wouldn't. We continued this for a while. Todd was very aggressive against the new IFB. He began to take things very personal. He felt that he had a mission to shut down the new IFB, and that came to a head at the Fundamentalist Conference, which was, I believe, last fall or summer. And Todd began to interfere, I believe, in some of the actual business of the new IFB, and I did express my disagreement with them. I contacted Robert Tuttle. We had a discussion on that because my name actually came up in that conference as being one of those who were involved in attempting to shut that conference down. I had nothing to do with that, and I disagreed with that. And I actually put out a video on the topic. Robert Tuttle eventually put out an apology video because he felt like they did overstep their bounds. Todd was rather upset with me because of that. He felt that it was his mission to do so, and so we sort of went our separate ways after that. I had no animosity towards him, but he felt that I should be doing more. I should be speaking out more. I should be taking a more active role in attempting to shut down the new IFB, and I didn't feel that was my mission. My mission is to warn and to expose and to perhaps direct others into a better path of following the Lord rather than into this particular movement. So we went our separate ways on that. So the problem that I see now, of course, it's something that could be expected, something that could be very predictable, was a response from some portions of the new IFB to the death of Todd Ferguson. Now, to understand that, I think you need to go into false religions in general. False religions, many times more what we would call, or perhaps a cult in false religion, they have a code as to how to deal with enemies, how to deal with unbelievers. In Islam, the unbeliever is called a kafir. And the kafir, you can lie to them, you can do all kinds of things to them that you wouldn't be able to do to a fellow Muslim. There's Christians and Jews can be treated differently than Muslims. That's just part of their ethics, or their system of ethics. In Scientology, I've been watching a series on Scientology, and just unbelievable. I thought Scientology was more or less a joke. As growing up when I first became a believer in the 70s, Scientology really had not taken off the ground so much. The founder was still alive. It was looked at as some weird, strange stuff. But it's really blossomed into a very evil cult. And they have what they call suppressive people. Anybody who is in Scientology and leaves Scientology becomes an enemy. And they are a suppressive person, and they enact what is called fair game against that person. You do whatever you need to do to shut them up. And so I feel that false religions have something similar to that in their how they deal with people. Todd would would have been considered one of those people, an enemy of the new IFB, and so he was relentlessly attacked and mocked. They mocked his voice, they mocked his issues, whatever they might have been, and in his death, they're also mocking his death. And there seems to be a license to treat unbelievers, especially apostates or people you view as apostates, differently from others, and even justifying it from Scripture. You go to Matthew 23, look how Jesus treated the Pharisees, and so we can therefore insult other people. So there's this attitude of really no limitations of what you can do to an unbeliever. And even in death, we find that. Now the world, the polite side, I guess you'd say, of the world, they have a certain ethic as to how to deal with the dead. If somebody dies, you don't just go out and start mocking them right away. Even if you didn't like them, you would say something nice about them. Well, yeah, but he was a good guy in some ways. So there's this attitude towards the dead, a little bit of a respect towards the dead. Now, that isn't, of course, in leftism. When you go to leftism, which is godless, they just rejoice. And if one of their enemies dies or is injured, they'll go out of their way to mock. And that's the problem I think we have here. The new IFB, certain segments of the new IFB, is very similar to that. They go out of their way to mock and ridicule. You can see why would they do this? Well, take a look at some of these clips here that I've presented, and you'll see that there's a reason behind all of that. The reason, as I mentioned before, is there's a certain attitude towards an unbeliever, or towards especially one who opposes your way of thinking and doing things in your movement, that makes you fair game. A number of channels have sprung up, either condemning Todd Ferguson or mocking him. Here we have one that is simply stating that he's permanently cursed by God. This one is particularly crass. It is a channel that has been set up to look like the Reason Files, and it is a bunch of shoe commercials, because Todd's murder involved him going out attempting to buy a pair of shoes from somebody, as far as I know. So they are mocking that. And this next one is particularly awful, where it actually has fireworks, music, the song Celebration. It's actually celebrating the death of Todd Ferguson. It goes on to use memes such as this one concerning Yoda, condemning Todd to hell, and there's several others here that show the spirit of this, the people putting these out. Now, where this spirit comes from, I believe is pretty simple to find. If you look back through the new IFB, the messages that have been preached concerning other people that disagree with them or that they condemn, even people such as John MacArthur and others we'll see here in the next clip that have been condemned to hell. And actually, they rejoice in that, and they sometimes wish a person's death, which we've shown before. This is the spirit of the new IFB.
This is Todd with Reason Files, reporting from the lowest hell, apparently. My sources.
Now the question would come up, who would inspire, what would inspire this individual or number of individuals who are making these mocking videos of a man who had been murdered, that someone who had opposed the new IFB. These videos come out. Now I'm not saying that these pastors approve of these particular mocking videos, although as you can see here, there have been other instances of people being condemned to hell. Ravi Zacharias here by Aaron Thompson of the new IFB. Zacharias may very well indeed be there. We don't know. I think that he's being exposed as a fraud, so that could be true. Billy Graham, who knows about his eternal state. Michael Jackson, for all practical purposes, he probably is there. Ruth Bader Ginsburg as well. John MacArthur, he's condemned to hell, though he's apparently not there yet, but he's condemned there by Aaron Thompson. Here we have another one with Billy Graham being condemned to hell and so on. So when you consider these things, looking at how flippantly people are condemned to hell, and not just in hell, but roasting in hell, I think that kind of sets the stage for the type of reaction that we got from the death of Todd Ferguson, the murder of Todd Ferguson.
Hello?
Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Who is this?
You know who it is. Did
Yeah,
Anderson?
I know who it is.
Did Anderson step down?
Yeah, you're a disgusting... Listen to me. You shut up.
Okay.
You're a disgusting filth. You're a piece of filth. You are a punk. You're a loser. You're a psychopath.
Okay.
That's who you are. Yeah, and you know what? I would hope that God strikes you down right now. I've been praying imprecatory prayers against you.
Have you really?
And I hope you put this on YouTube. Go ahead and put this on YouTube, you disgusting piece of filth. You punk. Why don't you just kill yourself?
Oh, Ben, you are terrible. Boy, gee, man.
Yeah,
hey.
go ahead and put this on YouTube. I don't give a crap. You are subhuman trash. You little punk. Psychopath, making a bunch of... You obsess. This is what you do. You obsess over hating good people. You obsess over hating men of God. This is what your life revolves around.
No, Ben.
Like
I don't hate nobody.
You call people up. You harass people over the phone. You call people up. You get people fired from their jobs. Screw you. You disgusting rat. You degenerate scumbag. You punk.
There is no evidence of that, Ben.
Yes, there is, dumbass. I know all about you, psychopath. Do I need to get the cops involved? Get a restraining order against you? Huh? Is that what I need to do?
Ben, you are the one. You are the one
people.
cussing me
Stop
out.
it. You worshiper of Satan. You worshiper of Satan. You piece of anti-God, subhuman filth. Go to hell. You got that? Go to hell.
Okay.
I hate you with perfect hatred. I hate you. Die. I hope God strikes you down.
Well,
Punk, you loser. What do you want? What are you calling me for, huh?
I'm calling to ask you a question.
I would seriously, if I saw you in real life, I'd elbow you in the face.
Would you
and break
really?
your neck.
Wow.
Yes, I would. Go to hell. That's my answer to every question you have. Go to hell. You got that, scum?
I got it.
That, loser?
Yes,
You
I got it.
that?
Do you feel better,
That's my
Ben?
answer. Go to hell.
Do you feel better?
That's my answer. God's going to destroy you. God is going to destroy you. You will go to the lowest part of hell. You will burn for eternity. That's my answer. Does that satisfy you, scumbag, loser?
Yes, it
Mentally
does.
deranged lunatic?
Yep.
You're tiny. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares about you. You're pathetic. You are a loser. You are valueless. You are so valueless and such a piece of filth. Nobody cares about you. This is why your life is defined by hating the new IFB, because you don't have a job. You don't do anything with your life. You're pathetic. You are subhuman trash. No one cares about you.
Okay.
So then there is really no ethic when it comes to the dead in the new IFB movement. They're fair game. Ravi Zacharias, Billy Graham. You can just go down the list of people who've died. Michael Jackson, and obviously, no, I'm not saying some of these people aren't in hell. They very well may be, but it's not for us to put them there and to rejoice in the fact that they're there. Now, what does the Bible say about death? Especially if you happen to die a violent death. Well, Jesus covered this in Luke chapter 13. There were present at that season some that told him of the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. And Jesus answering said unto them, Suppose ye that these Galileans were sinners above all the Galileans, because they suffered such things? I tell you, nay. But except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. Or those 18 upon whom the tower of Siloam fell, and slew them, think ye that they were sinners above all men that dwelt in Jerusalem? I tell you, nay. But except ye repent, ye shall all likewise perish. I think what Jesus was doing was pointing out that the type of death that one may endure does not necessarily mean the judgment of God. It could be or it could not be. That's in the hands of God. Only God knows. You look at Job and his situation. Job had no idea why all those horrible things were happening to him. His friends came up and told him, that's because you've been sinning. You're a sinner, Job. That's why that's happening to you. Job tried to say, no, I'm not. I haven't sinned. But Job didn't know either. So he never really did find out. We find in the book that it was a test from God, that Satan himself had been unleashed upon Job. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, especially in heaven. So why did Todd die such a horrendous death? We just simply don't know. Sometimes that's God's will. That we are called to die a certain type of death. Was Todd an enemy of God? Only God knows his heart. I've met preachers that have preached everything right down the line according to the IFB standards. Yet later in life, they completely turn from God. When they die, they go to hell if they've rejected God as an unbeliever, as an apostate. But again, we don't know what happens at the very last moment. Somebody on their deathbed, somebody as they're dying, could cry out and say, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. As the thief on the cross, that person went to heaven. And if you would have examined him and his life up to that very point, you would have said, there's no way that man is in heaven. We don't know what happens on the deathbed. That's the hope that we have. So we have no right to condemn. We have no right to mock and ridicule. It just shows what's in the heart of the people that do so. God is the judge between men. Todd may have misjudged people at times. He may have been too aggressive. He may have been too quick to publish some things, or whatever may be the case. But ultimately, it will be God who is the judge of the actions of men. He will determine if the mockings, the threats, and the ridicule and the insults were justified, or the product of an unregenerate heart lacking the love of God. God knows that. So those who are making these videos, God knows your heart, and God will judge you as well. He'll judge Todd. He'll judge me. He'll judge all of us. God knows the heart. He is the final judge. I'd like to thank you for your time, and may the Lord bless you in your search for truth.